Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. We have seen a lot of amazing ace monsters over the years, and in this video I wanted to propose my top 10 monsters that I feel could have been aces for a specific character. Now, each character is usually assigned one ace monster by the community or by the fandom. Like Yugi's is very obviously Dark Magician, Yusei's is Stardust Dragon. There's characters like Playmaker and Udius who have a little more of a blurred line with their ace since they have kind of two ace monsters, but usually every character has one primary ace. And I wanted to ask the question, what would be some really cool monsters that we could have definitely imagined these characters using as their main ace? Now, a couple of things. I wanted to use monsters that these characters have used before, and a lot of the picks are monsters that characters have used many times. I didn't want to just take monsters they've only summoned once and then use those, but if you want to do that in the comments, feel free. Without further ado, here are the top 10 cards that could have been main ace monsters. I hope you all enjoy. Number 10, Flame Swordsman, Joey Wheeler. So when you think Joey's ace, it's probably Red Eyes Black Dragon. Even if you want to say like Jinzo, sure. I don't think many people would pick Flame Swordsman as his ace. And the reason for that is Flame Swordsman is a little bit weaker when it comes to his stats. But we have seen some amazing Flame Swordsman cards recently. And I feel like Joey having an ace that has less attack than most characters would really fit his character well. He was always the underdog. He was the guy that everybody counted out. He was a guy that relied on a lot of luck to get over his opponent's monsters. And so I feel like him having an ace that only had 1800 attack, where a lot of characters like Kaiba and Yugi have aces with 3000 or 2500 attack, would have fit his character and his dueling ability really, really well. Flame Swordsman is an iconic Joey monster, and I certainly feel like this monster absolutely could have been his main ace. Number 9, number 17, Leviathan Dragon Shark. So I believe this was the first numbers monster ever summoned in the anime, and sure, I might be partial to it because I actually have the YCS giant card of this monster, so I see this monster every time I come downstairs in giant card form. I am a fan of Leviathan Dragon, and the fact that it was the very first numbers monster used and used by Shark, I think this absolutely could have transformed into his ace monster, but nobody considers Leviathan Dragon his ace because he didn't really use it as the show went on. The card is really not that strong and has a weird restriction to it, but I feel like if this monster got some upgrades, this absolutely could have been viewed as the ace of Shark. And I think that would have been really cool. Again, I'm a little biased to this monster, but I think Leviathan Dragon certainly had the potential to be that ace for him. And it's a shame we never really saw any upgraded version or just a play on this card as the show went on. Number 8, Steel Mech Lord Mirror Innovator Yugioh. I am a huge fan of this card. I love the way that this card glows and shines. It's a light monster, which I feel would do a good job of representing Yugioh's pure-heartedness. And listen, I'm not the biggest fan of the way that Seven's Road Magician looks, so maybe that's kind of why I'm putting this monster in here, but I feel like this monster always showed up in some of Yugioh's most important duels, and it was a very utilized monster of Yugioh that was, of course, a tribute monster, and it doesn't play really into the Seven's Road archetype, but I felt like this monster, design-wise and just presence-wise, had the potential to be Yugioh's main ace. Seven's Road Magician, to me, has always been a little goofy looking, and I would have found it really enjoyable if Yugioh had an ace that looked like this. Some of Seven's Road Magician's upgrades are cool, to be fair, but I've always been a huge fan of the way Mirror Innovator looks. Number 7, Enlightenment Paladin, Yuya Sakaki. Enlightenment Paladin is a freaking awesome synchro monster. And while I know the logistics of Yugioh, the guy from Arc 5, the pendulum user, having a synchro ace monster doesn't really make sense, I still feel like this was one of the coolest extra deck monsters that he used. And Enlightenment Paladin actually did get an upgraded version in Nirvana High Paladin. It's also got the protagonist ace monster stats, 2500 attack. Yugioh, of course, only used this in the synchro arc, which is something that always annoyed me. I wish he brought this into the fusion arc and the arcs beyond the synchro arc. I don't know why it only showed up in synchro, but seeing the Nirvana High Paladin upgrade was amazing. And if he was able to maybe utilize this monster to do like an Axel synchro summon down the road, oh, it would have been so cool. I know it doesn't really make sense to have your pendulum protagonist use a non-pendulum ace card, but this card, design-wise and aura, was freaking awesome. And I'm going to stand by my pick here. I think Enlightenment Paladin absolutely would have been an amazing ace for Yugioh to have. Number 6, Cyberse Magician, Yusaku Fujiki. It's probably the same issue that we just had with Yugioh, where a protagonist, this time from the Vrains and Lynx era, is using a main ace that is not the summoning that is being promoted and debuted by the show. But Cyberse Magician, funny enough, actually has the same exact stats as Enlightenment Paladin, 2500 attack, 2000 defense, and I freaking loved this monster. It felt like a Cyberse version of Dark Magician, and so maybe that's why I'm such a big fan of it. But the card name has also always reminded me a little bit of Playmaker. Cyberse, that's obviously where Playmaker exists in Link Vrains, in the Cyberse, and Magician, and Playmaker, we all know, is a dueling magician on the duel field. So I feel like this monster would represent Playmaker just beyond the stats, just beyond the cool lookingness. Again, the biggest issue is him using a monster that is not a Link monster, but feel like Cyberse Magician could have definitely been his main ace. Number 5, Buster Blader. Buster Blader, when I was a kid, I always thought was the coolest monster ever, and I always thought he was like one of the strongest because he had like a little more attack than Dark Magician, but he always reminded me of like Dark Magician's like really cool cousin. I don't know why, but like the color scheme always reminded me of the Dark Magician color scheme, and I always felt like they were like cousins or long-lost relatives. But Buster Blader, we got some amazing support for him after Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters ended. I don't know if he would have been as popular as Dark Magician to be Yugi's ace monster, but he certainly was very freaking cool. And we are not done with cards that Yugi used. There's actually 2 more that are going to be in this top 5, and I just feel like for Yugi, it's very easy to give him a different ace, honestly, than Dark Magician. You rewrite some of the stuff in Egypt, and if the monster is cool looking, I feel like it could have certainly replaced Dark Magician. Nothing against Dark Magician. Dark Magician is awesome, but I think Buster Blader would have done a great job being that main ace card. Number 4, Elemental Hero, Flame Wingman. These next 2 are cards that some people might consider the aces of the protagonists, but Judai's main ace is obviously Elemental Hero Neos. Flame Wingman was certainly his early ace, but I don't know. I would have really loved for Flame Wingman to remain the primary ace. Flame Wingman is literally a mix of Bursinatrix and Avion, which feel like Judai's first 2 elemental heroes. Like, I don't know. I think Flame Wingman absolutely could have been the poster ace for Judai. I get the need to give him an upgrade to Neos, or at least Neos, so that it could go into a bunch of different upgrades, but I still think Flame Wingman could have absolutely been that ace monster. Number 3, Junk Warrior, Yusei Fudo. I mean, this is very similar to the one we just did, and the reason I have these 2 high is because there are probably some people out there that would consider these the primary aces. I think those people would be wrong. If you want to consider them the secondary aces, sure, but of course for this video we are talking about monsters that could have been the top dog, and I think Junk Warrior could have been the top dog. I love what Junk Warrior represents. Obviously, we know Yusei struggling in Satellite, and all those cards are quote-unquote junk, and so you have a warrior that represents Yusei's struggles in Satellite in Junk Warrior. Probably very similar to the last example where Stardust Dragon just has a better effect and is stronger. But like synchros can get upgraded. Like, you can certainly summon a synchro monster using another synchro monster. So I feel like Junk Warrior could have been Yusei's main ace. I think it would have been probably not as, like, impactful as Stardust, admittedly. But this monster just always reminded me so much of Yusei, and I feel like Junk Warrior gets overlooked a lot when we think about 5Ds. It is a really cool card, symbolically and visually, and I definitely think it could have been Yusei's main ace. Number 2, Magician of Black Chaos, Yugioh. You want to talk about an insanely cool card. One of my favorite ritual monsters ever. Magician of Black Chaos made me go crazy when I was a kid. Heck, I still go crazy when I watch back the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And see this monster summoned. And I would have loved if one of our main protagonists had a ritual monster ace. I propose Cyberse Magician for Playmaker. I'm proposing Magician of Black Chaos for Yugioh. Now, it's tough because obviously this is like a Dark Magician upgrade. And so how do you get this as your main ace if Dark Magician clearly is needed to be an important monster to go into this? So I get that the logistics of it don't really work, but take away the logistics. Magician of Black Chaos would have been absolutely incredible if we saw more of him, if he got upgrades, if he had maybe some like spell cards that were specifically meant to like power him up. Like, I think Magician of Black Chaos from a looks wise, from a design wise, I mean, think about it. Yami Yugi, right? Black Magician in the original. Yami literally means black. Magician of Black Chaos. The armor is fully blacked out. Dude, this monster is so freaking cool, and it just misses out on our top spot. Number 1, the Black Luster Soldier, Yugioh. Listen, I spoiled it. I said that it was another Yugi monster, and I've been talking about rituals this entire video. It's the one mechanic we've never had our protagonist utilize as an ace. Black Luster Soldier over the years has gotten some amazing support, and while obviously a lot of these cards would not have been able to be used in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters era, I'm looking at you, BLS Link Monsters. Black Luster Soldier is such a cool monster. I mean, in its presence, my Valentine walked away and surrendered. Black Luster Soldier beat her Heartbeat Pet Dragon, and then she just walked away. That's how strong this monster is. The armor, the sword, the design, the just, again, aura. Every time this thing was summoned, this would have been an amazing ace monster, and I would have loved to see more of Black Luster Soldier and to see upgrades. You could have given it equip with armor upgrades. I think there was a lot of potential for Black Luster Soldier to be that ace of Yugioh. Such a cool monster, and it's my number 1 pick regarding monsters that I could have seen as being main ace monsters. Thank you guys all so much. Certainly a more fun top 10 list. I would love to know your thoughts. There are a lot of characters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Verse. I tried to stick to mainly protagonists for this, but you could certainly make a lot of picks when it comes to monsters that you could have seen as aces, or maybe would have preferred to see as aces over the ones that we got, or over the one that we got. Again, I'm talking main primary ace, not secondary ace. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.